Time now is 5 o'clock. Welcome to the South King Fire Board of Fire Commissioners meeting. The meeting is now called to order. All commissioners are present at this time. Pledge allegiance. Director Mary Stevens. Pledge allegiance, please. Thank you. Rule of minutes from the regular board meeting on September 23rd, 2025. I had a chance to look at the minutes. If so, I will entertain a motion for approval.
I'll move approval of the September 23rd, 2025 minutes.
Motion by Commissioner Gates for a second.
A second.
Second by Commissioner Vedino. Any discussion on the minutes at all? Hearing seen none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you. Approve of minutes. Commissioner comments. I'm going to start to my left with Commissioner Fuller.
Thank you. It was a great time in getting a $50,000 grant from Amazon and Mr. Sinise. It was very nicely done and very much received. And it was I enjoyed watching the Marine team playing with their night vision goggles. That's all.
Commissioner Burrs.
So Commissioners Vedino attended the Washington State Fire Commissioners Association conference this last week. A thing on hiring a chief, which was pretty timely. Happened a few months earlier. It was encouraging that the stuff that they talked about seemed to really closely mirror what we're doing. Bit of differences here and there that a couple can still be discussed, but it was encouraging that we seem to be on the same track that they are.
Commissioner Vedino.
Yes, I also attended the conference, took a seminar on planning, funding, and communicating capital projects, which is also relevant to our current situation. And then the fire chief recruitment as well, which was very interesting and, relevant to what we're doing right now. I also went to the Amazon and Gary Sinise Foundation donation event. That was great. And those night vision goggles are really cool. And I think that's going to be great for the Marine team. They let me try them, but it was light outside, so didn't get the full effect.
Put you in a dark room. Commissioner Gates.
No comments.
So yes, like it said between Commissioner Burris and Vedino, I also attended the commissioners conference, but the one I did attend one of them that was kind of different, but it was had to do with volunteers. But the thing about that one was what's interesting was when they talked about retention. So retention on how to keep the volunteers interested in still going to become firefighters and have their careers. It's interesting because it kind of intersects about what retention is about any other place, right? That's about valuing the employees, making them feel that they're part of the group, listening to them. It was just I just found it like, wow, even though we talked about volunteers, it still goes well with any paid department, any really organization, agency, about how you retain folks. Because I know that lately what it is that a lot of folks aren't, the younger generation aren't quitting because of the pay, quitting because they don't feel valued. So that's the important part that came into play for that. I noticed. But it was a good conference. So on to public comments. Any public comments, please state your name and address for record. Limited comments to 3 minutes or less. Do we have any public comment? Okay. Hearing and seeing none. Item 6, Commissioner Committee Reports. Do we have any committee reports?
Okay. So our fire chief hiring committee met October 9th and discussed the interview process with our consultant. We will discuss further about questions in executive session, but there is notes on that if anyone has any direct questions. Then budget, finance, and audit committee met October 13th, which was an exit conference with the auditors. I don't know, Commissioner Gates, do you have anything? No.
We had we had a good report from the auditors. We're happy with it.
And then Policy and Procedure Committee met October 13th, and we asked for feedback on our guidelines. We are still waiting on a little bit of feedback, and we are having some problem with the formatting of the document, which is why it has not been sent out to you guys again yet. Then we met again on the 21st to discuss the feedback that we had. I think that's all of our committees. Any questions?
Alrighty. So item number 7, promotional process presentation.
Good evening, Commissioners. This presentation was created by HR Supervisor Sharice Gamble. She was kind enough to let me be a part of it, but she really is the author of this entire document. And this is in response to Commissioner Fuller's question about the joint testing process. So I'll begin. We entered into the joint testing process because our in-house testing process was always a little more centered on what we did here in South King. As we've joined the South King County Fire Training Consortium, we're operating much more as a regional asset, less independently, because all of our training is the same as everybody else gets in the 1,500 different firefighters in the organization. To begin with, we have an announcement, and we over-communicate this. We over-communicate this with dashboard slides and all the stations. We over-communicate it with emails to everybody. It's part of the battalion chief's rotational highlights. So we want to make sure that we get all the information out there to minimize the questions and any confusion that a new candidate might get when they're first testing. We test for lieutenants, captains, and engineers. The lieutenants and captains, the language is really the same. The battalion chiefs has changed a little bit since we've adopted the battalion chiefs we've organized that position. Now that process is identified by contract language. And the driver engineer has really evolved for us since we originally adopted that. I want to say probably close to 10 years ago. And we've adopted the consortium's model, which is it's a much more more detailed examination, which is more appropriate for the job they're actually doing. We close out the process with a review and a challenge period. Now, the challenge period isn't as robust as maybe it was at one time, because we've gone through the extra effort of making sure that both the administrative team and the labor group get a chance to vet all the questions that go into the written examination. And once agreed to by both parties, they're no longer subject to a challenge.
Thanks, Chief Winter. We are going to go through a couple of slides to explain the process a little bit more in depth. You have a promotional packet announcement up there if you want to check out exactly what South King firefighters see when these processes open. And if you have any questions, we'll have a Q&A at the end. All right. First, I'd just like to say this is my 4th time running the promotional process since I've been a part of South King Fire. This is my first time running the process with Chief Winter, which has been a breath of fresh air. It was well organized. He was very communicative and collaborative, and I think we ran a really smooth process this year. Going back to the joint testing process, I think there's a lot of fruitful information here. So this year we ran the process with those that you see listed on the side. We had 78 candidates total go through the joint promotional process. Several of those individuals were promoted across our regional organizations. As Chief Winter said, really important to have that consistency in standards, optimizing our resources, right? Not reinventing the wheel, and not spending extra money when we don't need to. Improving our communication across agencies, having benchmarks and best practices. One of the main kind of gripes or concerns when I started was promotions not being equitable and not being fair. People feel like there was favoritism in the process. Obviously, that is far from what we want, right? We want equitable pathways for career advancement for everybody. That leads to an overall boost in morale and motivation to be a leader within our organization, knowing that to get promoted, we will be running a fair process. So that is a big piece of why the joint promotional process is a great thing for us to be a part of. We need all of our officers in our zone, in our region, speaking the same language so that when there is a big emergency and we have, multi-agency responses, they are able to support the community and not have lags in the communication. Let's go to the announcement. So that's what you have a copy of. As Chief Winter said, this blasts everywhere. It's on our dashboards. There's a snip. The red is a snip of our dashboard slide that goes out. It's basically a save the date. They also receive email communication, as well as this packet, which can be printed or viewed via PDF. And it really has all of the information they need that is pulled directly from the contract language. So we have a really fun contract that dictates almost everything about our promotional process, down to the amount of days we have to give information, or the amount of days we have to have between our written test and our structured resume. All of those things are really detailed through our contract, which is different than other departments. So it's important to us to make sure that candidates have all of the information in one place. Here are the eligibility requirements for each of the different positions. So you see that the captain's eligibility builds upon the lieutenants, and then so on and so forth. The contract language here in the battalion chiefs is from the new contract that has been agreed upon. We're happy to send a copy of this too. Here is how the actual process runs. So for lieutenants and captains, it's virtually the same process, except obviously for captains, you have to have those couple years in the seat as a lieutenant. It's a structured resume, which really just outlines what they've done professionally to ensure they're prepared for this leadership role. The written exam, which is kind of the gatekeeper, right? And then the assessment center. We know that for lieutenants and captains, it has to be comprised of 4 different labs. Here are the labs that are agreed upon within the contract. So that's a difference between the new battalion chief's contract and our lieutenant and captain's contract. What you see on the bottom here is an example of the scoring. So this is a scoring breakdown that the union, admin, and HR agreed upon this year, placing more weight on the personnel problem and the tactical session, and a little less on things like the written or the personal profile. The personal profile is a presentation of their structured resume. So we wanted to be sure to capture some of those gaps that we're trying to fill, for example, culture and climate and managing our personnel. And that's why we really put an emphasis on that 30% for that portion of the assessment. For the battalion chiefs, the contract language is that we've agreed to the joint promotional process. As we said earlier, that takes all of the different organizations' contract language and norms for promotionals into account, and then it builds one process that satisfies them all. So we did not have battalion chiefs this year, but we do plan to have that process next year. So we'll have more information there. One major change is on the bottom here. You have to receive a minimum score of 70% in all aspects of the promotional process, from the written to the labs. It was stated in a different way in the contract previously. That left it up for interpretation, and we were not able to hold folks accountable for that 70%. While we know that Cs get degrees, that is not our goal. We really want our officers to be operating above standards. So this was a nice addition to be able to implement this year. All right, one that's a little different. It's not considered an officer, but it is a leadership position within our organization, is the driver engineer. So we just got done with it last week. It is also a part of joint testing. And the assessment center is just a little bit different. Instead of 4 labs, there's 2. There is a drive exam where you're looking for safety. And then there's the pump evolution, where we're really trying to ensure that on an emergency scene, folks have the skills that they need to be able to run that operation. Same thing here. You see the test being worth just 20%, and then the actual tactical, where we see those hands-on skills being that 80%, putting an emphasis on needing those skills to be there. After all of the spreadsheet scores are in for the labs and the written, based on those weights, there are some additional points that candidates have the opportunity to gain. We have seniority points, which are 20.25% of full years of service based on the filing deadline. And then recently reintroduced, which was a fun learning curve this year, was the peer review process. What we did to compile that this year is we took previous processes and we adapted them to the competencies set by the regional team. So previously you were ranking the top 5 candidates based on your interpretation or perception of their skills. And just like in an interview process, we don't really want to be ranking folks against each other. We want to be ranking folks against set standards. That way we limit some of the subjectivity. So we took the 5 competencies for lieutenant and the 5 competencies for driver engineer. Everybody was on that list. It wasn't just the top 5. It was every candidate that is a part of the process. And you were able to rate them 1 through 5 based on those competencies. Now, in my opinion, there's no perfect way to do peer review because we all are wired for bias. But this way at least allows us to mitigate for some of the subjectivity. It's a really fun calculation to curve the peer review score to the seniority points, but we were able to figure it out. We had about 40 peer reviews come in for the lieutenants and about 17 for driver engineers. So we received almost 60 peer reviews, which given the size of our organization, that's encouraging. This is the challenge and review period that Chief Winter mentioned, again, outlined in the contract up until the number of days. But having that joint approach where we bring leadership in and union reps in early on in the game, we are able to avoid that by getting an agreed upon test. A big piece of promotional process is planning for the next one. We really want this to be a fruitful experience for everybody that's involved. That means the candidates and the assessors that we provide to the joint process. And in doing that, we want to make sure to receive feedback that we can use for future planning. So the 4 ways we do that is directly after the promotional process is done, we have a assessor debrief that gives a chance for all of the assessors that were a part of the process to give us their take. What did they see in our leaders? Where are areas of opportunity? And many times assessors have worked with different organizations throughout the process. So there's even a little bit of comparison and what they saw between us and another organization. Another way is we send out an anonymous feedback survey that is sent to all of the candidates that have been a part of the process, just giving a chance to give honest feedback about, hey, what worked for you, what didn't? Is there study pieces we can change? Or do you have any ideas for how we could do things in the future? I can't read it. Oh, internal after action review. So Chief Winter has scheduled an internal after action review where we will meet with the leadership team, go over the process for this year and take any feedback. And then there's also a joint process for an after action review that has been scheduled by the consortium that will take place next month. We will use all of this information to plan for next year. The goal is continuous improvement and making sure to support our people as they go through this process. All right. Any questions for us?
Got it. Thank you. Have the other departments in the zone looked at it, or has the consortium looked at it? And what do they think of the process we've developed?
I'm sorry, Commissioner, one more time, please.
What did the consortium, have they looked at our process and made any comments?
Well, really what we're trying to illustrate here is our process is the consortium process. The only thing that's really autonomous to South King is our own internal written test. And we write that test. We use industry text, we use contract, we use policy, mission, vision, guiding principles, those things that make South King special. And we also recruit some subject matter experts to help us write those questions. But everything else is really, it's a product mutually agreed upon by the training consortium.
It gives me a lot of confidence. You know, I asked for a review of it, and basically it's because, you know, I started in this work 10 years ago, and when I asked about it 10 years ago, it was quite a loose process. And I think you've really got a solid one now, and gives everybody a fair shake, but it also makes sure you get the people, the skills you want in the leadership positions. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. And this is really born out of us wanting to limit the subjectivity in our evaluation process. And Mary and I worked on this quite a bit before I was promoted, and we would really be doing a disservice if we didn't recognize all the work that Deputy Chief Crossan had did on this process for years and years. He was a integral piece of our promotional process for a long time. Any other questions? Commissioner Burris, do you want to ask any questions about the pumping procedure?
I have a question. So, and I know, thank you, Sharice and Chief Witter, for the report. So in one of the slides, and I know maybe I might be going a little beyond, but does the BCs have to have, was that a fire officer 2 to be able to test?
That's a recent addition to the battalion chief contract, yes.
So what path do they have to get to 1 and 2 in the department? To be able to get to that, is that supported? And so I know that, because it only said 2, so I'm wondering, right? So they have to have 1 before they get 2.
Correct, right.
So where does 1 fall into place in any of the ranks at all?
The candidates would have to seek that out themselves. And the reason we chose the IFSAC Fire Officer 1 and 2 is it gives us credit on our Survey and Ratings Bureau score.
Okay. And the other question is on the driver engineer, is IFSAC driver pumper operator required in that?
It is it's a condition of their probation that they receive all those certifications.
So I take it in aerials and stuff like that, or?
The aerial isn't, we don't have an aerial operator promotional process. So the only people that would be certified to operate the aerial would be the engineers.
Yeah, again, I just want to make sure that we're supporting that pathway to get those, because I know Pro Board and IPSAC are together now, and folks that come in from different departments, or if they have Pro Board, from out of the state, they can be recognized now. So I just want to know that, Pat. So thank you. Perfect.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you.
You're welcome. And again, thank you to Sharice for putting together this presentation. Thank you, Commissioner Fuller, for asking the question and giving us an opportunity to talk about our process that we're very proud of. Thank you.
Thank you. Down to item 8, administrative team report.
Good work, you two. Thank you very much. As Sharice said, and as Chief Winter echoed, it's been a process, and every year they improve it, and it gets better and better. So a few things to touch on administratively. Thank you for the recognition on the clean audit. Kudos go out to Finance Manager Barrett and her team. This is a constant process of making sure that our financial reporting to the state is sound, making sure that our monthly processes are intact. People are following policy and procedure and proper coding and all of that good stuff. And then, of course, when the auditor gets here, timely responsiveness to their requests, on and on. And so we got through some of the challenges the last couple of years, and we're back to clean audit. So great job, everybody. Policy and Procedure Committee report out. I had a request, well, the Policy and Procedure Committee had a request to have the guidelines retyped. The document is extremely old, and it's much like our CBAs. They've been recycled and reused many times, and then we get to the point where we just need to retype them. So we're going to offer overtime opportunity to a staff member to do that. If for some reason we can't get that done in the next couple of weeks or so, we'll go with the other request, which was to have the commissioners just outsource it to a third party for a nominal fee. So we don't want to delay. We know that the guidelines has been a work in progress on the part of the committee, but last week we committed to providing some assistance on that. Team engagement. We're happy. BC Mertlick is here tonight. Welcome. And BC John could not be here, but we asked that he show up eventually so that you guys can see him in his new capacity. We're excited to have the new BCs on. Chief Michaels has spent a great deal of time training them. They're eager and excited about their opportunities. We need the help. There's so many projects that we're working on. The BC's office has a significant amount of work that BC John will be helping out with, and then our planning and administrative team has work that BC Mertlick will be helping us with. So we're super excited about that. I mentioned in my, I don't know if it was an email or staff report, the 320th property. I signed a contract with Kidder Matthews to represent us on the 320th property. So Executive Secretary Perry and AC Sukul have been involved in the meetings with Kidder Matthews, and we're engaging some third-party consultants to facilitate the process. To remind the board, our objective going into it this time is to know what the city requirements are, make sure we're working in lockstep with this city, and when we actually go to market, that potential buyers know exactly what it is that the city is looking for, what our objective is in the community, et cetera, et cetera. So we're not just fielding offers and then turning around and negotiating it. So we're pleased with what we're seeing right now from Kidder Matthews and group. You also saw that we've had some illegal dumping on the 320th property and some new inhabitants. The team has been working to get rid of the dumping of tires that has been discovered. We reactivated the line in the budget to deal with vacant property maintenance. And more to come. There was a report out this morning that we're looking at some sort of a security solution, maybe one of those safe city cameras or I don't know what you call those mobile ones that you set up, but something that would give us some eyes on what's going on over there. We did put eco blocks in there to try and prevent trucks from backing up and dumping. But so long as we have the 320th property, we're going to probably have to be monitoring the situation and unfortunately incur some costs to deal with it. So last year around this time, the board adopted a vehicle use policy. We came back a short time later and asked for a slight modification via motion to that policy, and we made that change. I'm going to ask for another change tonight. Our fire marshal has a duty and responsibility to sometimes respond outside of normal business hours. There's been several occurrences where there have been occupancy violations, and the BC's office has had to reach out to Fire Marshal Nichols and ask him to come in. It's much more convenient for him to respond immediately with a department vehicle versus coming in, swapping vehicles, and or just driving up in his personal vehicle where he's less identified. This has actually happened. Furthermore, we did discuss today in our admin ops meeting the possibility of some sort of a rotation with the chiefs to make sure that we've got adequate coverage. It was a reminder this weekend with the threat of high winds. We want to reestablish some sort of coverage, and it's quite possible that Fire Marshal Nichols could be in the pecking order of that process. So I would ask the board, if you're so inclined. Right now, the policy only is for executive chief officers to allow us to modify the language to include the fire marshal. Any discussion?
Any questions? Commissioner Byrd.
Well, I think when we originally did it, it was based on, can we show that there's a need for it? Thank you. A need for it.
Before anything you would like to add, Fire Marshal Nichols?
I would like to make a motion to have the policy amended to include the fire marshal.
There's a motion on the table to amend the policy to include Fire Marshal Nichols. It's by Commissioner Medino, seconded by Commissioner Fuller. Any discussion on the motion on the table?
Specify that it just says the fire marshal. No one's name is mentioned.
Specification of the fire marshal. Thank you. So, motion on the table. Is there any other discussion? Hearing seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Pass. Fire Marshal Nichols, you have a car.
Thank you for your support on that. We will have Chief Winter and the policy committee make that change. Okay. Finally, this is a last on several accords for Mary Stevens today. She attended her last admin meeting. She attended her last self-insurance medical committee meeting. I'm assuming this is going to be your last commissioners meeting. And you just did your last Pledge of Allegiance probably too. So a lot of lasts for Mary Stevens. So, oh, you did. Oh, well, there you go. She's been with us for 18 years. A lot of history, a lot of good times and challenging times. And Mary has put in her time. She has served us well. We will be recognizing her tomorrow in advance of a business operations meeting we have in the afternoon. So anything you would like to say, Mary, with the mic?
I just want to say thank you. It's very humbling, and it's happy, but it's sad at the same time. So I think a lot of those who've left before me can understand. Talked to a lot of people and have been receiving a lot of just gracious comments, and I just very much appreciate it. And I've always tried very hard to serve the district well. So I'm just proud to have made it this far, and I just wish the best of luck to my team, Sharice. She's going to do an awesome job as a supervisor, her and Nikki both. And I think it's been very gratifying just seeing all the people that have been hired since I came on board, and watching most of them succeed on to bigger positions, officers, and even chiefs. So it's been a great life spent here. So thank you all for making it such a great time and great place to work.
Thanks, Mary.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good thing you didn't have a mic on that one. Okay, thank you. Okay, that concludes my report. Are there any questions?
One quick one, on the 320th property.
Yep.
Has there been any consideration to like private security driving by a couple times a day? Not really.
I don't know. Chief Sukul can weigh in here in a second, but the two options, at least that were proposed, were a Safe City camera that the city could install. The other is one of those devices that you see at like at the Lowe's parking lot that have the blue flashing lights, but they've got the 360 cameras. That would be a rental. I'm hoping that with Kidder on board, that we find a buyer in the next 9 months or so, and that we don't have to do anything too permanent. But I think that's something that they should consider for sure. Yeah.
But again, do you, that property, that line, did that get resolved on the property that were?
Are you talking about the trail?
Yeah, the trail.
That is something that we're still working on. That's an active conversation with Kidder and the other parties that are involved. One of the things that we're looking at, if you look at the BPA Trail Federal Way, most of the trail weaves in and out under the power lines. And so at some point in time when that was put in, the city had to navigate all of the different owners. And that's something that Chief Sukul and Director Lee are going to be working on, is to figure out if the trail can actually get taken off of our property. Right.
Okay. Thank you.
Medic 1 is on the levy, is on our ballot. We didn't do anything to support that, did we?
We've always had a participant on the EMS advisory committee. Do you have anything you want to speak on that? Grab the mic from behind you, Chief.
We didn't have to do anything in particular. They, first of all, I came into it late, but they had everything all set and planned. As you can tell, because of the lack of signs out there, they feel very confident that this is going to go through, but there wasn't a whole lot that we did on our part. I think the city had to give their approval. Federal Way, as one of the cities, had to give their approval, but as a fire district, we're obviously in support of it because we get funds from it, but beyond that, no.
I just didn't see much in the public either.
No, I was a little surprised when I attended my first EMS meeting a couple months ago in this role. I was really, in the past, I've seen signs everywhere, and this year I've seen one sign. So I think they're just counting on their history to get it through.
Usually they use something on the news media, but
yeah, they said they were going to, but I've yet to see anything. Not that I've watched much in the way of news lately, but I haven't seen anything. I don't know if anybody else has either. So hopefully they haven't overestimated its popularity.
thank you. One other question? You know me.
Well, that's what you said last meeting, and that was about 10. So
Yeah, well,
go ahead.
I've pruned it down. There's been a change in CPR, what are those changes and how big an impact
Can you
is
test
it?
the mic, make sure it's on?
It shows red and I can hear it. So we as a department are part of the studies that are done in King County. So the changes that have happened have to do with whether or not we're using specific airways and then our compression rates. And so every 6 months, potentially CPR can change. Craig has history with this because the county has been involved in these studies for years. But right now we're going between an insertable airway and then just using kind of an older style of just clamping the mask onto the face, the bag valve mask onto the face, and then again compression rates anywhere from 100 to 120. And so right now, I honestly, off the top of my head, I can't tell you. I don't see any of the online firefighters because it changes
Okay.
and like I say, every 6 months. I think we just went to 120 compressions and we just went back to the airway, the inserted airway.
Plastic thing.
Yes.
I think it's something that we can be really proud of. At the very beginning, we've been one of the go-to departments for every one of these studies. Take a look at it. Does it work? Does everybody's protocol change? We would even have little cards sometimes on the AED
We
because
still have those. They're all attached to the AEDs
it
where
changes so
says,
much.
you know, this is what you're doing right now. And then Lieutenant Mathis, who works down in the training consortium, but obviously one of our lieutenants, is in charge of making sure that all of our people get that information. He usually gives them, you know, a month or so warning when it's coming up. He gives them a 2-week warning. He gives them a day before warning, and then he's the guy that goes out and puts it all those tabs onto our ADs, so our people are doing the right protocols. You know, and while we're doing that, so you know, everybody else is changing. Like it's interesting, but we're saying neighbors with Puget Sound, they could be on the one protocol and we can be on another. So whoever the first arriving unit is, sets the protocol for that particular one. But in 6 months, maybe we've swapped. Like I say, with this particular study, there's multiple variables. So it's not, historically, we've done a lot of things with just 2 variables, but this one has 3 or 4. So
You can't just sing "Staying Alive" to yourself and get the right message.
So you have to sing it a little bit faster for this particular 6 months, you know, so the sped up version.
Okay. The rescue, the heavy rescue is out for service again. Did we buy a lemon?
We're going to let somebody else speak to that.
Not a lemon, just a custom. So what they found is the way they bolt the frames together, which is standard for all fire engines, opposite of like a Kenworth freight truck. I can't remember that clamp that's used in that process, but there's 2 different ways. So they take 2 frame rails, put them together, then the engineers figure out where all the bolt patterns are. Somewhere in those hundreds of bolts, one was either possibly drilled too big or it got loose in there. So they have to dismantle, take it all apart, remeasure every hole, and then put it back to torque. So it's down in Oregon right now because the workload have taken it all off. It's underweight with all the equipment. So that's a big question that we made sure that it was underweight. It just happened to be a manufacturing issue that they're tracking down.
Okay. When I noticed in the HR report that we have 40 staff supporting 161 firefighters and officers, and that just emphasizes that we do have a business that we operate with a huge budget, but our product is community service. So I'm very pleased that our business is running well. the state likes it, and we're in a financial position that we have not been before. We have reserves, we able to do things, we stay on budget like we used to, but we're doing things like office buildings and heavy rescue and ladder trucks, and we're never able to do that before.
We're going to talk about that at the budget hearing. It'll be scheduled next week. I delayed Lori getting the agenda items, but you're going to get an invite for an open public meeting. It'll be our normal annual budget hearing process, but we're going to touch on all of those things and give a holistic view, including capital and future engine orders and all of that kind of stuff, Commissioner. So thank you for acknowledging that.
Couple of budget items. Have we allocated anything in the budget for our Explorer program?
Yes, in fact, Finance Manager Barrett and I were looking at that line item today. There was a request to increase that line item. There was a request to increase a lot of line items. And there was an increase that the team wants to add additional Explorers this year, but we've broken it up, and I'm going to talk about all of that during the hearing, the budget hearing.
Okay, I noticed we're looking for more of them, but we're also outfitting them and getting them gear.
Yeah, and we accounted for that in the changes that we've made.
How about a rig for a brush rig? Is that in the budget?
Again, I think we can talk about this next week. We've got a lot of competing priorities right now, Commissioner. That is currently not in the budget, but we'll explain why and where we're needing to prioritize our apparatus purchases. We're definitely going to be buying apparatus, but we'll talk about the order of that and the expected timelines and the implications.
Well, I see Mr. Lee left, but I was questioning,
He
are
knew
we
you were
going to have
gonna ask a question.
offices or are we going to have cubicles?
In the new workspace,
Yeah.
there are administrative offices, and then it's like an open work environment. with
concept.
Yep, open concept. Yep. Combination.
Cubicle, suite cubicle.
Nice cubicles though.
Okay. High walls. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? And I did get your requests. You will not be at the budget meeting. And you want to follow up with me later on.
Yes.
But I did add some funds for the commissioners in there.
The only other question they have was when was one of the Spartans supposed to try to get back in service?
So again, one of the reoccurring items that I check in with the team on is the damaged Spartan. We do not have a word back yet. And one of the things we're looking at is whether or not they will say it can be repaired, and then how long will that take? The other is, will they total it and the insurance company will write us a check, and that will be something that I'm going to be discussing on Thursday at the Finance and Audit Committee when we look at future engine purchases, whether or not we plus up if we think it's going to be totaled and we'll have insurance money.
What's the schedule on one of the new engines?
2 years, 24 months right now, and the cost is increasing, like everything. And again, these are all things that we're going to touch on during the process. So you might want to listen to the budget meeting afterwards.
I'm talking about the new current ones that we have.
How much were they?
No, when are they going to get in
Oh,
service?
I'm sorry. The two that we have
Yes.
now, Chief Suko.
The two we have now, the purchase price was about 1.2, a little over 1.2.
And are you asking when they're going to go in service?
Yes.
Oh, those are the teams getting them outfitted down at Fleet right now, working hard on them. And then they have some recall fixes to do prior to go out. The steering linkage the bearings were falling out on the steering linkage. So that's going to get addressed and get fixed. So I'd like to comment on Commissioner Fuller talking about how we're growing, and that's all positive stuff that we are growing and we need to grow for the community. One thing in the planning, which I've getting discouraged by, is the cost of operating and how the prices continue to go up. We're pushing just slightly under 1.4 for an engine now. And how sustainable is that in the future, right? So we're coming up with some great options of what we can do to maybe refurbish rigs, costs on that, turnaround times on them, make sure it fits within our WSRB rating. And then from there, we can then have reliable apparatus that we can continue the growth, right? Our community needs the growth of more resources to achieve its goals of our service, but we're kind of getting priced out on a lot of stuff too. So we're growing, and yeah, we're in a good financial, but the industry itself is outrageous.
And 1.4, that's pushing on twice as much as they used to cost back 10 years ago.
Yeah, you throw on the tax and the delivery, right? So on that price, and that puts it just a little under 1.4 on a bid set that came back. So
Thank you.
It's getting very expensive. And again, this is something we're going to elaborate on during the budget hearing. We've shortened our replacement schedule from 20 years to 15 because of the wear and tear and the increase in call volume. So now we're in this period of trying to grow our fleet with a reduced replacement timeline, manufacturing delays, and increased costs. These are all of the factors that we are looking at right now as we are trying to grow. So again, next week at the hearing, we're going to talk about all this stuff. So, okay.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Okay, October.
Yes, October budget, please. Item number 9.
October budget. All right. At the end of October, we would expect to be at 83 3/33%. And we finalized the month at 79 32/00%, placing us under budget at 4 2/10%. So again, we expected, I think earlier this year, we were about 5% below budget. That is slowly getting closer. We will end the year hopefully under budget. We had a number of unfilled positions. So we had some salary savings there, but things are looking good. And one of the things I'm going to talk to the Finance and Audit Committee about on Thursday is utilizing our positive financial position to set up our reserve funds for the future, so that when we get to placing engine orders and having to pay for them, that our capital fund is healthy enough to be able to do that and not be so dependent on debt or surplusing property. So a lot of positive things going on right now on the budget side of the house. And our finance manager is here to give you the exact end of month totals.
Okay, this month we have mid-month totaling $88,715.18. Accounts payable totaling $1,806,896.08. Payroll totaling $266.71. Our EFTPS totaling $455,482. Our medical claims processed as of October 21st totaling $387,771.54 for a total approval of $4,645,131.51.
Any questions? Okay, if not, let's do it.
I'll move approval of the October vouchers.
I will second.
Motion by Commissioner Gates, seconded by Commissioner Vino for the approval of October vouchers. Any discussion on table at this time? If not, hearing seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Have an approval. Thank you. So this time the board convening to executive session per RCW 42.30.1101I. Discuss with legal counsel representing the agency matters relating to agency enforcement actions, or to discuss with legal counsel representing the agency litigation or potential litigation to which the agency, the governing body, or a member acting in an official capacity is or is likely to become a party when public knowledge regarding discussion is likely to result in an adverse legal or financial consequence to the agency. Join the board in executive session will be Executive Secretary Perry, HR Supervisor Gamble, and legal counsel. Action may or may not be taken. Round this up, time now is 5:55, or go 30 minutes to 6:25.